It is said that within the ancient palaces of Persia, pistachios were served as a symbol of prosperity. In legends surrounding the Queen of Sheba, this nut was described as a privilege reserved for royalty. While the mythical elements remain debated, what is certain is that pistachios have been discovered in archaeological sites in Iran and Turkmenistan dating back more than 7,000 years. Pistachio was never merely food. It was the inheritance of arid lands, the fuel of caravans along the Silk Road, and later, a small delicacy placed in silver trays on transcontinental flights. The pistachio tree originated on the Iranian plateau and in the deserts of Central Asia, regions defined by semi-arid climates, scorching summers, cold winters, and minimal rainfall. These are environments where only highly adaptive species survive. Biologically, the pistachio tree is a classic drought-resistant plant. Its root system grows deep into the earth in search of underground water sources. Its small leaves reduce water loss through transpiration. Its remarkable salt tolerance allows it to endure nutrient-poor soils. Because of these harsh environmental conditions, pistachios became an ideal energy currency for traders. Their high content of unsaturated lipids, particularly oleic acid, provides sustained energy. Plant-based protein and essential minerals help maintain physical endurance during long desert journeys. Along the Silk Road, pistachios were more than a commodity, they were a cultural bridge. Small sacks of nuts were exchanged among Persian, Central Asian, and Mediterranean merchants, carrying with them stories of the land of fire, where people learned to survive alongside drought. Nearly a quarter of the pistachio's story lies here in the history of trade, in hand-drawn maps, and in caravans seeking spices, silk, and knowledge. From a neuroscientific perspective, using one's hands to crack open a pistachio shell activates the sensory-motor cortex, generating a tactile experience that engages the body as well as the mind. The subtle click sound stimulates the brain's dopamine reward system, a micro-response, yet one that becomes meaningful through repetition. Unlike prepackaged snacks, pistachios demand participation. They cannot be consumed too quickly. Each nut requires a physical interaction. Consumer behavior researchers describe this phenomenon as the effort justification effect, the idea that small amounts of effort increase perceived value. It is precisely this slowness that makes pistachios far less likely to induce mindless eating compared to foods like potato chips. The discarded shells remain behind like traces of time. A plate filled with empty shells becomes visible evidence that an experience has taken place. In a world that constantly accelerates, pistachios compel us to slow down. The 19th and 20th centuries marked a turning point. Pistachios migrated to the United States. The Central Valley of California, with its hot, dry climate and winters sufficiently cold to stimulate flowering, proved to be an ideal environment. Industrialization transformed production scale. Drip irrigation systems optimized water use in semi-arid conditions. Mechanical shakers harvested thousands of trees per day. Selective breeding focused on increasing the rate of naturally split shells since consumers prefer nuts that are already partially open. From an aristocratic symbol, pistachios evolved into a mainstream snack. Yet intriguingly, they retained their premium image. Airlines began serving pistachios as a refined gesture in first-class cabins. Packaging design emphasized origin, craftsmanship, and the nut's distinctive natural color. This represents a process that might be called the democratization of luxury, when a product once reserved for royalty becomes widely accessible, while still preserving its historical aura. Pistachios did not alter history in the dramatic manner of wars or technological revolutions. Their influence has been quieter. They teach patience in arid landscapes. They remind us that value does not always reside in size, but in the time accumulated within. Each nut is a storage chamber of ancient climates, survival pressures, and centuries of prolonged drought. Its shell resembles a biological time capsule opening only when conditions are sufficiently mature. And when we crack open a pistachio today, We are not merely eating. We are repeating a gesture that has existed for thousands of years, from the hands of Persian merchants to Renaissance chefs to passengers on transoceanic flights. In a world where almost everything can be produced instantly, pistachios remind us that certain forms of value cannot be rushed, cannot be accelerated, cannot be replicated. Why did the nobility favor pistachios? The answer lies in two elements: time and scarcity. A pistachio tree requires approximately 8 to 10 years before producing its first harvest. It is a long-term investment, a commitment that spans generations. In ancient societies, only wealthy estates possessed the resources to wait. Scarcity creates symbolic value. During Renaissance royal banquets, pistachios appeared in desserts, ice creams, and pastries as markers of wealth and refinement. The nut's distinctive green kernel, colored by residual chlorophyll and carotenoids such as lutein, made it stand out among the predominantly brown tones of other nuts. The human brain tends to assign greater value to colors that are rare within a similar food category. This psychological mechanism is known as the visual distinctiveness bias. Pistachios were not simply consumed. They were displayed, like a gemstone resting in a silver tray. They became an aesthetic declaration: I can afford to wait. I can afford to pay. I can possess what is uncommon. Even the seemingly simple act of crack, peel, eat carries a subtle ritual quality, an intentional pause that transforms nourishment into experience.